So someone is suing Apple because their two-factor authentication takes too long to work. Seriously, I'm not joking. Hey guys, what's up? I'm Christian Taylor, and today we're going to be talking about this crazy lawsuit that was just filed against Apple regarding their two-factor authentication. So according to the suit, James Brodsky of California is claiming that a software update forced two-factor authentication to be enabled without his consent, and he is suing Apple for economic losses based on a waste of personal time for an extended login process that has become a multiple-step process. Later in the suit, he goes on to explain that it takes him 2 to 5 minutes to use two-factor authentication every single time he has to log into his Apple ID. Okay, first of all, let's back up. Number one, let's get one thing clear, and that is that Apple is not forcing anyone to enable two-factor authentication. It sounds like maybe a software update asked him if he wanted to enable it, and he wasn't sure what was going on, so he went through the opt-in process without realizing what he was doing. Apple does force two-factor authentication for certain types of users, like if you have an Apple developer account, you are forced to turn on two-factor authentication for that. So maybe he was using one of those features, and perhaps maybe it did force him to do it. But regardless, you're probably saying, why didn't he opt out? Well, this is one of the reasons he's suing for, because apparently, and I wasn't even aware of this, you only have 14 days to opt out of two-factor authentication on your Apple ID after enabling it, or you're stuck for good. You can literally never disable it. Now, I don't quite understand this. I mean, I am all for two-factor authentication. I am a huge advocate for it, and I think that everyone should be using it. But why can't you disable it? I have it enabled on my account, and now I know that I'll have it enabled forever, and that doesn't bother me, but I guess that's why Apple gives you 14 days to opt out. So if you enable it and it's not your thing, you can just disable it and be done with it. But let's get back to the lawsuit. Is this guy really gonna win? Is he really going to convince Apple that it takes 2 to 5 minutes for him to use two-factor authentication when it takes me about 15 seconds? I mean, really, the only grounds I think he has to fight is the fact that you can't opt out, which is a little bit sketchy. But then again, isn't Apple free to design their own private software as they wish? I mean, this guy filed a suit in California. He lives in America. This is a free country. He can switch to a Samsung phone or a Google Pixel or any other Android phone if he wishes. A phone that doesn't force two-factor authentication or require it to stay on after it's been enabled. So I guess I'm trying to understand the point of this lawsuit and whether he's legitimately just angry and trying to advocate for Apple changing the way it does two-factor authentication, or if it's just a quick money grab. I mean, lots of people have won ridiculous lawsuits in the past. Take the McDonald's coffee case. Somebody sued McDonald's because the coffee was too hot and they weren't expecting it. It's a hot drink. And they actually won. And after that, we started seeing all sorts of restaurants put "caution, hot" on the cup of their coffee. But then I'm like, well, Apple warned you. They say right on their website that you only have 14 days to disable it, and then you cannot disable it again. But then again, people are somehow still suing cigarette companies, saying that they didn't know that cigarettes are dangerous and harmful to your health, and they're still winning. But all of these lawsuits include personal damage. Somebody's product damaging that person in a particular way, usually physically. So I think that's where this guy spun it and put in the whole 2 to 5 minutes per login thing. I mean, that is just a load of garbage. Look, I get that he's frustrated that he can't disable two-factor authentication on his account, and maybe this lawsuit will make Apple think about changing their policy on that. But if this guy thinks he's going to win, well, I don't think so. Look, he's going up against Apple. They have the best lawyers in the world. And it's clear that he added that inflated time and the dramatic wording of economic losses, of personal time, just so he would have a case that it's damaging him in some particular way. I think it's just triggered that he has to take another 10 to 15 seconds to enter a code when he signs into his Apple ID for the rest of his life because he didn't read the many prompts that pop up when you opt into two-factor authentication, and furthermore, he didn't take the time to disable it within 14 days of it being activated. So what do you guys think of this weird lawsuit? I'd love to know your thoughts in the comments down below, and if you like this video, do be sure to hit that subscribe button and click the bell so you don't miss when I release new videos. With that said, I will catch you guys next time.